Hey guys, Todd Vandermite here. Welcome back to another edition of Freedom Steel, former NRA contract lobbyist, Illinois gun law guru. And just as I keep trying to wade through the stack of stuff, including the 1,400 pages the Illinois Attorney General dropped on the court last week, the other side just doubles down on stupid. So, you remember a week or 10 days ago, there came a big sensation over the internet about a Colonel Tucker, former '06 retired Marine colonel who is an expert witness in the Rupp case about AR-15s and ammunition and stuff like that. And Colonel Tucker got notoriety for two claims in particular. One, that a single round from an AR or M4 will sever a body in half, and two, that they would decapitate somebody. So with that, Michelle and Associates, who's handling that case, and we want to give a shout out to Chuck Michelle and his group for providing us with the latest document that Colonel Tucker has submitted. Evidently, after their expert, Mr. Boone, sat there and shredded Mr. Tucker's allegations and purported expert statements, the Attorney General, Mr. Bonta of California, now feels the need to have Colonel Tucker rebut the assertions that Mr. Boone made. And we'll start here. So the AR-15, same design, same weapons, purpose, simply labeling the civilian version of an M16 as sporting rifle or hunting rifle does not change the true nature of the weapon of war, including its purpose and capabilities. The AR-15 and the M16 M4 are both designed to kill efficiently and effectively and serve no legitimate use for personal self-defense. Colonel, I have employed my AR in defense of my dogs and my property. We have a problem with coyotes coming around my house. Even though I live in an urban subdivision, there is a farm field behind my house. And there are times when these coyotes, more than one, have tried to approach because my dogs were out there. And we know that their intent is to come in and try to tear my dogs apart. And said coyotes have been dispatched with my AR in defense of my dogs and the property around us and the neighborhood. So you're wrong on that simple fact. But the our favorite infamous full of shit Marine goes on. So he was an '06 full-bird colonel. That's what we call him in the Army, in the Marine Corps, in the Air Force. But he has earned the distinction of shitbird in my book. So number 6, in my opinion, the baseline requirement for claiming expertise on the AR-15 M4 is to have employed the weapon and employed it properly, consistent with training and doctrine during offensive and defensive rifle combat. In other words, to have employed the weapon for its intended purpose. Assault rifle expertise does not exist absent that experience. I have known many combat heroes who'd be considered assault rifle experts. Any individual claiming that same expertise based on lifelong interest in firearms, technical knowledge of 223 and 5.56 ballistics, or some shooting trophies is not an expert on the suitability of assault weapons or combat and dishonors those who are. Colonel, I'm going to use your own statement, your 14 months of command. I don't see anything where you walked the streets as an 0311. I don't see where you were an 11 Bravo, where you sat there and physically walked patrol, be it point, be it TL, be it slack, observation, high ground, overwatch. None of that. None. You were in command. And if we want to use your own logic, then I'll tell you what, you're not qualified to make these justifications. Because based on that, the guys we should be listening to are only SOCOM guys. Only guys who have actually done more than what you claim to have done in your 14-month deployment. We're talking about the Delta operators. We're talking about DevGru, SEALs, SEAL Team 6, MARSOC, the Green Berets or Special Forces, even Rangers. Those are the guys we should be listening to, not your sorry ass, because those guys have actually done it. And the Delta guys I've talked to, the SEALs I've talked to, the SF guys I've all talked to, all think you're a running joke. And they've got way more experience in their careers in taking down targets and employing M16s, M4s, and other various firearms within that platform and others. And don't take my word for it, but they all say that you don't have a clue as to what you're talking about. So based on your own definition, we shouldn't listen to you because their creds stack up way above where you are. And you may get to read about some of these people in this case later on. But the next one that really, he doubles down on this thing about rifling. Despite Mr. Boone, the ballistics expert hired by Michelle and Associates, despite Mr. Boone's enumeration of many different types of 5.56 and 2.223 projectiles, the fact remains that the AR-15 and the M4 M16 fire similar 223 or 5.56 rounds. The spiraling on the barrel is designed to cause the projectile to yaw in flight after leaving the barrel. All right, time out. The spiraling on the barrel is designed to cause the projectile to yaw in flight after leaving the barrel.
Is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
He goes on to say, the yaw is designed to present the long axis of the projectile upon impact with the flesh. This ensures that the maximum mass and energy is imparted from the projectile to the victim.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
So what he's saying is with this 5.56 223 projectile, it's not designed to come out of the barrel and stay true in flight like this. No, what he's saying is it is designed to rotate and tumble and present the length of the bullet. If that were true, tell me why we don't see all the keyholes in Marine Corps targets. Tell me why, when we score a match, there aren't nice little round holes in paper, that they're not big oblong issues. No. Rifling was designed in order to stabilize the bullet in flight. And we sit there and we play with rifling, depending on the caliber and the weight of the bullet and the powder charge behind it, because sometimes you can overspin it, sometimes you can underspin it. You spin it too fast, it may get not just a perfect spiral, but a more elliptical spiral. And they had problems with the early M16s with the rifling in terms of what they were trying to achieve. But here, the whole concept of rifling and what you're talking about with its design goes completely against the physics of rifling and what rifling was designed to do in the beginning when they were trying to get more accuracy out of smoothbore muskets. And here, the good colonel just doubles down again. And while Mr. Boone may have general ballistics experience, it does not appear that Mr. Boone has ever witnessed a 223 or 5.56 projectile striking a living being. from a weapon whose distinguishing quality as a weapon of war is its ability to inflict a maximum amount of damage to a human being. Mr. Boone mocks my comments on the 223 556 projectiles as being capable of causing decapitation or wounds so large they separate the upper body from the lower body. But I have seen the results of that terminal velocity on human beings. The round strikes flesh with maximum energy and mass, cavitates through the body, tumbling on a fairly direct line until it contacts bone, at which point the bullet fragments, tear out organs, blood vessels, viscera, etc. All right, nobody says that the 556 does not tumble or capable of tumbling when it enters a body. And if it hits bone, it's often deflected, does something there. I mean, we had an incident where an individual on reholstering shot himself through the right thigh, entered just around his nutsack, entered the left thigh, hit a bone, and then traveled down the bone and lodged in between the tibia and fibula, missing all the vital organs. That was a 40 FMJ, fired out of a pistol at point blank range. I've shot plenty of animals with a 556, a 223, and I have yet to cut any of them in half. I have yet to cut a coyote. I have yet to cut a deer in half with a single shot out of those. Doesn't happen. But I don't know of a single combat vet that makes these claims. One of my very best friends was a 240 gunner in the infantry. He went through Fallujah or Ramadi. And, you know, we all know about 240 gunners.
It's like a sniper from Costco. You're going to get ventilated in bulk. You're going to be aerodynamic as fuck. You're going to be holier than the Pope.
And he didn't talk about using a 30 caliber projectile cutting anybody in half. This is just a whole lot of bullshit from the good colonel. Now we get into the really fun part about training. You know, Marines have always prided themselves about their marksmanship. If you are a Marine, you are first, last, and always a rifleman. You are first, last, and always somebody who should be able to pick up a rifle and be effective with it, at least out to 300 yards. The Marine Corps quals go out to 5. And here in paragraph 14, Colonel Tucker states, changing magazines. I have 25 years of experience as an infantry officer in the Marine Corps, including 14 months of continuous combat command. There's that resume again. After which I was responsible for training and certifying Marine infantry battalions for combat. I know what I'm talking about when I state that changing magazines is the most important individual skill taught to Marines. Bullshit. Marksmanship is even more important than changing magazines because you need to make every round count. And I'll even go on to say your situational awareness, your ability to shoot, scoot, and communicate, as we used to call it, is every bit as important as changing magazines. Yes, you need to know how to manipulate the particular weapon system. You need to know how to employ it, and when it runs dry or you deal with a malfunction, to get it up and running and get back in the gunfight. But I wouldn't say it's the most critical or the most important individual skill. Nah, you are just so full of yourself. And no, you know, when I'm working with guys that are former Delta guys, former SEALs, muzzle discipline, safety, Those are amongst the most critical skills. Not shooting the guys on your own team are some of the most critical skills you can have. Being trusted to be safe with your muzzle when you are working inches from your teammates is a critical skill. Knowing that the guy behind you isn't going to shoot you in the back by accident because he's got his safety off or his finger on the trigger is a critical skill. Being able to know that somebody can draw and clear their holster, not the most important, but a very critical skill. This guy, you know, and I'm going to jump back to another part here. In his earlier part about only those with combat experience, he goes on to try to denigrate Mr. Boone here, who, as I recall, spent a lot of time with the FBI and things like that. Mr. J. Buford Boone III had the opportunity to gain the appropriate level of expertise and experience while fighting alongside heroes I served with, yet he chose not to. Colonel, there are civilians out there that have more experience than you do. They never served in the military, but they have more experience and depth of knowledge in these fields than you do. And there are a whole bunch of guys that have a lot more experience than you do. But you know what? I'm just going to let Gunnery Sergeant Hartman close out with my feelings about the Colonel.
I bet you're the kind of guy that would fuck a person in the ass and not even have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
And with that, he's left us more to give us the ability to have probably a couple more videos. We'll see if Colonel Tucker decides to grace us with his presence here in Illinois. The Illinois Attorney General has not sought fit to use him, but I think he's gotten way more attention than he ever begged for, and far more scrutiny. Maybe you ought to scrutinize why the Colonel left the Marine Corps and the other circumstances associated with that. But as always, guys, please like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Let us know what you think down in the comments here. Your copies and pastes and sharing of my videos have made a big difference. We're knocking on 7,000. We clear that hurdle. We're going to be heading towards 10,000 subscribers. It all helps in the algorithms to show YouTube and others that there is value in the content, in talking about our rights and talking about the technicalities that go around with guns and the Second Amendment with that. As always, guys, and this one's for you, Colonel, frag out.